NXT Black and Gold was arguably the best wrestling show in North America for a certain period of time. It started out as a developmental third brand with the purpose of feeding the WWE main roster with talented wrestlers. But after Triple H gave us his fantastic matches and unbelievable pay-per-views, it soon found its place as a competitive third brand within WWE. This was of course until Triple H stepped away due to various health reasons and Vince McMahon got his dirty fingers on the brand and named it NXT 2.0. Vince literally threw every color known to man on the logo and changed the NXT landscape forever. Since then, however, Triple H has become Chief Creative Officer or whatever you call him nowadays and has changed NXT to a slightly in-between version of NXT 2.0 and the old Black and Gold NXT. With it being nearly 2 years since the last episode of the old NXT Black and Gold era, I thought it would be fitting to look back at the NXT takeovers of years gone by. Let me know down in the comments if we should do all of the NXT takeovers or just some of the standout shows. NXT ARRIVAL, the very first NXT pay-per-view, or as it was called then since it was only on the WWE Network, an NXT special. Now, I know this is not the first NXT takeover, but it was the very first pay-per-view that NXT offered. It was described as a showcase for NXT and the wrestlers for the future of WWE. That idea is still very similar to that of the current NXT product that we see today. The show kicks off with Triple H coming out to the ring, giving the big let me try to do my best impression of Triple H here. Are you ready? He introduced the crowd and the home audience to the show whilst putting over the different wrestlers as the future of WWE. You'll notice a theme throughout the show that a lot of the wrestlers that are on display are no longer with the company. And more specifically, these wrestlers are big names in AEW. So I'm not sure that the future of WWE phrase really held up well. The opening match of the show is a banger of a match between Sami Zayn, who we know is one of the most loved and over wrestlers in WWE today, and Cesaro, who we know wrestled for many years in WWE and was hugely successful, but now goes by the name Claudio Castagnoli in AEW, who is of course the current ROH World Champion at the time of recording. Cesaro establishes that he's the heel early on in this match, with his somewhat aggressive dirty tactics used on Sami Zayn. Watching this match really highlighted to me how Sami Zayn has changed his style of wrestling over the years. Old school Sami Zayn used to be super quick and athletic, similar to an old indie wrestler named El Generico. Can somebody please let me know what happened to that guy? Cesaro countered a top rope crossbody from Sami Zayn into a beautiful backbreaker which seemed so effortless for both men. Moves like this got the crowd super hot with an early "This is awesome" chant. Sami attempted to hit his flying DDT through the ropes on the outside, but Cesaro countered once again with a massive European uppercut. Cesaro then manages to gain all the control in the match, targeting Sami's knee and keeping him grounded for the time being. Sami Zayn then managed to land an exploder suplex into the corner on Cesaro before getting Cesaro in a Koji clutch submission. Cesaro would then escape the hold and reverse it into a stretch muffler on the already targeted knee of Sami Zayn. Cesaro then grabs Sami and uses his iconic big swing, which I must say I haven't seen anybody sell that swing like Sami Zayn did in this match. He genuinely looked like he wanted to get out of the move rather than just holding his head and waiting to let go. I absolutely loved it. Sami would then gain momentum and pull out a top rope Hurricane Rana, which was almost counted into a powerbomb. Sami Zayn then hit his huge haluva kick and would go for the pin, but Cesaro would kick out on 2 3/4. A little later in the match, Cesaro would lift Sami and strike him with a huge European uppercut and go for the quick pin attempt, but Sami would kick out at 1. Sami was running on nothing but adrenaline at this point, but Cesaro would land another European uppercut followed by a neutralizer and get the 3 count for the win. This was an absolutely fantastic match between two megastars in today's wrestling landscape. Cesaro was the star in the match, pulling out all the big spots, dominating for large portions, but Sami sold his ass off, which of course helped make Cesaro look even better. After the match, both men showed a sign of respect for one another, which received a loud pop from the crowd. I really enjoyed this match because it was so early in their mainstream wrestling days. Felt like I was watching two wrestlers for the first time. I went on to give the match 4.5 stars, and I must say, what a way to open up the show. We then moved on to a match between CJ Parker, who now works in AEW as Juice Robertson, but really made a name for himself in New Japan after holding the IWGP US Champion and IWGP Tag Team Championship belts. He took on the always hype Mojo Rawley, who was released from WWE in April of 2021. This match was honestly nothing to write home about. It was short and to the point. It served this purpose, which was to showcase Mojo on a larger platform. Mojo would land a huge backdrop onto CJ, which looked kind of scary as I initially thought CJ over-rotated on the bump. The crowd was certainly down after the match between Cesaro and Sammy. CJ would gain control and just land strikes and kicks onto Mojo like he wasn't really allowed to showcase any of his exciting offense. Mojo then gains momentum again and hits his hyperdrive, which is him basically just sitting on CJ, and he gets the win. The match went roughly 3 minutes and nothing really happened, so I gave it 1 1/3 stars. And then we moved on. Up next, we had an NXT Tag Team Championship match between the Ascension, who were the tag team champions at the time, and a mystery surprise opponent. The Ascension had virtually zero success on the main roster and were later released in December of 2019. A real shame for a team that certainly had bags of potential to be great. The surprise opponents for the match turned out to be former WWE Tag Team Champions Too Cool. Both Scotty 2 Hotty and Grandmaster Sexy, I can't get over saying that name, looked in fantastic shape. Connor and Victor of the Ascension dominated Grandmaster Sexy for a large portion of the match before Scotty got the hot tag and gets the momentum. Scotty still looked really good in the exchange after the tag, as we see him go for the iconic worm, which the crowd loved, but Victor counters it and the Ascension led their Fall of Man finisher for the win. Another short but fun match, which was easy work for the Ascension, which was definitely the right call. I gave the match 2 1/4 stars, which might be high, but the match was just good fun. The next match on the card, Emma versus the NXT Women's Champion Paige, for the title of course. Emma, who found little success on the main roster, left WWE in 2017 when she made a name for herself on the indies as Tennille Dashwood, going on to become an Impact Knockouts Tag Team Champion. Paige, of course, we know, had a roller coaster career in WWE. She shockingly won the WWE Divas Championship on her debut on the main roster, but neck injuries hampered her momentum and forced her to eventually retire from the ring. That is, of course, until Tony Khan came calling and reignited her career, and she's now thriving as Saraya in AEW. So Stephanie comes out to the ring to put over the wrestlers, which, as we'll see, this trend carries on throughout the night. She introduces both women to the ring, and during Emma's entrance has a little dance showing the world that she has absolutely zero rhythm whatsoever. And when I say zero rhythm, I mean it. The match starts off with a heated exchange of punches, forearms and hair pulling. You could see early on that Paige was definitely the more experienced wrestler between the two. The match seemed a bit sloppy at times, but I think it may have helped come across as a proper grudge match or a fight. Emma would then nearly land the Emma lock, but Paige was quick and experienced enough to escape the hold. Emma would eventually hit her Emma sandwich in the corner and go for the cover, but Paige kicks out at 2. The beginning of this match has been all about Emma and showcasing her work. This match started picking up the crowd again after it fell off in the 2 previous matches. Emma again dominates Paige by slamming her to the mats with a huge powerbomb, but only getting a near fall. The sloppiness that we may have seen early on seemed to have faded away, and I think Emma really grew into this match. Paige, however, switches the momentum and pulls off a Paige turner out of nowhere, but Emma kicks out before the 3 count to the surprise of the crowd in attendance. Paige then locks in a Scorpion crosslock, which forces Emma to tap out, meaning Paige would retain her NXT Women's Championship. After the match, the 2 women would hug in the ring, showing respect to one another. The match grew on me after the sloppy start, and Paige really showed off her experience, as all her work looked smooth and effortless. I gave the match 2.75 stars, so it was definitely above average, and the women put on a good match at the end of the day. Nothing great, but also nothing bad. Next up, we got a match that I was looking forward to, as I forgot what happened during this match, and I had no idea who would win. Xavier Woods made his entrance, and I forgot completely that he used to use the "Somebody Call My Mom" theme song.
Are you not ashamed of yourself? Are you not embarrassed? This is really embarrassing.
A match between Xavier Woods and Tyler Breeze really had potential to be great, but as the match was about to start, Alexander Rusev, or now known as Miro, that guy who went to AEW for a better career but we haven't seen him since the pandemic, he comes out and attacks both Breeze and Woods, meaning the match didn't go ahead as planned. Lana and Rusev cut a promo after the attack, but I think the crowd was just as frustrated as me, and they showed their frustration by chanting "what" during the promo. The infamous "what" chants. Thank you, Stone Cold Steve Austin, for ruining every single wrestling promo known to man. What? On to the main event of the evening, Adrian Neville versus the NXT champion Bo Dallas in a ladder match for the title, of course. The Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels made a special appearance and continued the theme of putting over the wrestlers and introducing them to the ring. It's crazy to think where both these men are today. Bo Dallas, the champion at the time, has seemingly left the business and is out living on a farm with Liv Morgan, making him possibly the luckiest man on earth. Sorry, got carried away there. There were rumors that he'd be coming back as Uncle Howdy, but that seems to be put on hold at time of recording. Adrian Neville ended up leaving the company in not the friendliest way possible, but has since gone on to do perfectly well for himself in AEW, becoming the first All-Atlantic champion and a trios champion with the Lucha Brothers. So onto the match. Bo Dallas seems to be getting some heat with the crowd because of his obnoxiously positive character. I've just got to say though, Neville is so damn athletic, it's crazy, and he shows his athleticism early on in the match. Bo Dallas then takes control early on by slowing down the high flyer Neville. Bo uses an innovative strategy by trying to tie up Neville in the ropes and runs to grab a ladder, but Neville gets out of the ropes and baseball slides into Bo. Neville then ducks a ladder attack from Bo and backdrops him onto the floor on the outside. Neville then quickly climbs the ladder, but Bo throws a second ladder onto him, dropping him to the canvas. Bo then places a ladder over Neville to trap him under it, but Neville was able to lift up the ladder and topple it over. Neville then uses the ladder that is wedged into the corner to perform a tilt-a-whirl DDT onto Bo, which looked super clean. Neville tried to land his red arrow finishing move, but before he could, Bo got up and knocked him off his feet onto the turnbuckle. Bo starts climbing the ladder, but out of nowhere Neville springboards onto the ladder above Bo, but Bo reads this and hits a buckle bomb onto the wedge ladder, and this was an absolutely excellent sequence from both men. Later on, Neville would power slam Bo onto the ladder and hit his Falcon Arrow while Bo was still on the ladder. This was then Neville's opportunity to climb the ladder and pull down the title, and that is exactly what he did. And as easy as that, we have a new NXT champion in Adrian Neville. This was a fantastic match, felt about as safe as what a ladder match can be, and we got an awesome new champion at the end of it. I gave the match 4.25 stars, excellent performance by both men. I think to summarize the pay-per-view, we can acknowledge the good stuff was fantastic, and the rest was just average. The night definitely had a low after Sami and Cesaro put on their match of the night. Mojo and CJ felt completely irrelevant. Seeing Too Cool was a fun little segment, and the women's match was decent. The show had a great opener and closer, which we would learn would come synonymous with an NXT pay-per-view in years to come. I will admit, this was not the NXT takeover vibe just yet, but you could certainly feel it was slowly building to something great. Triple H had something good going on for him in NXT, and we know that would come true as years went on.